And we're live. Welcome to Music Matters with Jason Tramm. And thank you so much for joining us for our unique podcast community, where we explore the triumphs and challenges of the performing arts world as seen through the eyes of distinguished colleagues. And thank you so much for helping us grow. We hit 2,533 subscribers today, and we grow every day thanks to people like you who like our content and hit that subscribe button. So please do. We have a wonderful show for you today with Toni Marie Palmertree, an acclaimed American soprano who is doing great work, and I'm delighted to have her here. Welcome, Toni Marie.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Your career has certainly been blossoming and you're doing wonderful work. And let's start with, did you always know you wanted to be an artist?
Oh my gosh. Yes. As a little kid, I grew up out in the country and in Pennsylvania, and we lived up on top of a hill. And so I would go outside and sing as loud as possible so that I could hear my own echo, sort of like the hills are alive moment. And so to harness that energy, my parents encouraged me to audition for a new um, professional children's chorus in Reading, Pennsylvania. And that's where I received a lot of my musical training, music theory, how to like vocal training, etc. And it was that choir and that conductor that really helped guide me into um, the direction of classical music specifically. And we got to sing with a symphony, and it was that moment that I remember I maybe in fifth grade that I decided that I needed to do that for the rest of my life, sing with an orchestra. I didn't know what that meant, and it just was one of those moments that hit me and said, this is where I want to be for the rest of my life. Opera was totally foreign to me. I had to find that out later and learn about that later, but it was always something I knew I wanted to do. My path definitely took lots of twists and turns, but I did always know that I wanted to be a singer and an artist.
Amazing. Were your parents musical as well?
No, my father has a really great untrained tenor voice. I'm the first college graduate in my family. Um, my dad was a city bus driver for the city of Reading, but he was a huge music lover and was constantly playing LPs, just all of, Moody Blues and Blue Oyster Cult, like things like that.
Rock and
And
roll. I love it.
yes, yes, but like rock and roll that used so many orchestral elements in them, and jazz and things like that. So he definitely was a huge music lover and influenced me in that realm. And I always wanted to sing along. And he claimed for a long time that I was named after Toni Tennille of Captain and Tennille,
Uh,
which I just listened to their records ad nauseum because I thought I was named after her. But my mother later said, no, that's not true. But it was a good dream for a while.
Now, we've had something like 80 opera singers on this program, and I work with so many opera singers, and I always ask them the same thing. So, first, were your parents musical? And about half. Half come from musical families where they're professional musicians in the family, and half are just totally just have it born and innate, and then kind of develop their love. Um, when when did you first get exposed to opera, and what was it like when you started singing it?
Oh, wow. So my voice teacher was in high school was a Juilliard grad, an opera singer, but worked more in music theater. And that's where I really thought I belonged, was jazz and music theater. And he was constantly saying to me, you need to sing classical music, you need to sing opera, your voice is that. And I kept rejecting him because I thought it was like uncool. Um, and then I was doing a pre-college program at the University of the Arts in Philly, RIP. And during that time, they had a 1 week long session on opera because opera is music theater. So I definitely applaud them for doing that because that was the moment that I realized when they were playing, I think it was Bohème, of course, on the TV screen. I heard my voice, I saw myself on the screen, and I thought, oh, I understand now why he is encouraging me. So he recommended me to his teacher in New York, and I started working with her just to figure out what opera was. And I didn't sing my first or see. I didn't see or sing or hear my first opera until I was in college. So it was quite a late journey, but it just felt very natural for my voice. Whereas with music theater at the time, I was kind of like fighting to belong and fit in.
And with the voice of your color and your size, the microphones and all that stuff, it's not meant. It's not built for it, right?
Correct. I definitely was fighting against something that I didn't belong in. I feel like I can sing that repertoire so much better now. Just yeah, having more control over my voice and getting older and things like that. But certainly back then, I did not fit and did not belong. And I also am so excited though that many of the sort of classic music theater is now being enveloped into opera. It's such a wonderful thing to be able to cross over because it's so operatic anyway.
Especially Rodgers and Hammerstein, the golden age musicals. That really is perfect rep for great voices.
Yes, yes.
It's amazing. Like when I interview a lot of my European colleagues, they don't have the same musical theater tradition. It's totally different. So for us, the first exposure for most American singers is going to be musical theater because that's what they get in high school.
Yes, right. It's so American, like the way that you just said that. It's so true. I never thought about that, but Broadway itself is just so American, and it makes a lot of sense that that's our first entryway. And it's it's sad that opera is not part of that education or even being exposed to it as a kid. And I really applaud a lot of organizations and opera companies that make a point to go into the schools to expose kids to opera and classical music.
It really is crucial these days because the opera companies, if the pipeline's not built for those young audiences, they just will never get exposed. Just like you and me, if you're not exposed to it at a young age, you don't get used to going and you don't know what it is.
Right. It's sort of like people will say to me how intimidated they thought they would be because they didn't know anything about it. And they realize after they're in the building how it's not intimidating. It's about the sound and it's about the experience. And you don't have to dress a certain way. You can come as you are. But we still have that stigma hanging over us. It's a little bit like religion and church, where, it's like if people don't know the hymn, it's like, I don't want to feel like I don't know what everyone's singing, but it's once we get people just exposed to it, then they're so interested to come back over and over and over again.
And the art form is universal human emotion. And once you get exposed to that and you feel that, you know the story. I always tell people who are new, read the plot, know the story, and it'll make a lot more sense. And then you just know and then you get great music mixed with great orchestration and amazing voices.
Exactly. And I also add on top of that preparation is I say trust the singer that we are singing actors, and so even if you don't understand Italian, if you have a great singing actor on the stage, you'll know exactly what's happening because of, my body energy, or, the look on my face, or, things like that. And also the diction is so important, even in a foreign language. Even if someone cannot understand the words, if the diction is very clear, I've had people say that to me before. They said, I didn't understand the Italian, but somehow I did. It's because it was so clear. It just flew out of your mouth as if it was yours. And so that's also just so important for singers to know, is, it really does matter for people to understand it, even if it's not their native language.
It's That's a great point. Shout out to Victor Starsky, who just commented on the chat. He said, "Welcome," to let him know that he's so excited to hear his esteemed colleague speak.
Oh, Victor, hi. Oh my gosh, I had the great honor to sing with Victor this past summer in Tosca, and oh my gosh, what a thrill.
He's a great guy. He just came and did my Messiah down at Ocean Grove, and I've been working with Victor for many years. He's a terrific guy.
Oh, yes. I also check mark that box.
It's a very small world in our industry, isn't it?
It is, yes, for good and for bad, but mostly for good. Yeah, it's wonderful to see friends keep coming back around.
So tell me about your start in the field. You went to university, and so how did you start? I know you have great connection with San Francisco, and but let's get up to that.
So earlier in the chat, we talked a little bit about how my path took a lot of twists and turns, and so here's where the twists and turns come. So I didn't go straight into conservatory from high school. I took a gap year, if you will, and just worked with people ad hoc in New York. And then I got into Peabody Conservatory and I did my undergrad there. While I was there, I got married, and very, very shortly after graduating, I had my son. And that I could balance a career and having a young son. And I didn't sing for about 7 years. And this is the part that I kind of, in the moment, I missed music so much. And I would cry at the sound of music. Being in church would just make me cry. It was too much. I didn't know how much I was missing it until I figured that part out. I was working like 9 to 5 jobs, and um, I took a job managing a children's chorus, a professional children's chorus in Red Hill that's now part of the Bach Choir of Bethlehem, the Bel Canto Children's Chorus. And I thought that that job would fulfill all of my musical wants and needs. But every time I heard those kids sing, oh, I would just weep. And I realized, because I was jealous that I wasn't singing with them, I wasn't singing. And so right before I turned 30, I decided I have one shot at the Met competition left. I'm going to go for it. I found a teacher that was very, very, very understanding and really believed in me. And we got stuff together very quickly. I won my district, and that was enough for me to sort of know, okay, I guess I do belong here and I should give it a go. And I started auditioning for the big programs, the first one being Marilla. They were the only one that heard me that first year. And although they didn't take me, they gave me a list of things that they thought I should sing, and one of which was Butterfly. And Sherry Greenawalt looked straight at me in that audition. She said, "You will be the next great butterfly." And that's an important thing for coming up. So I did Marilla. They offered me an Adlership at San Francisco Opera, which was totally, did not expect it. And one of my assignments as an Adler was to cover Butterfly, and the singer got sick and they put me on. And that was my great big break. Um, it I went from college singing, a couple roles here and there,
Oh,
to not singing at all, to being on the stage at San Francisco Opera singing Butterfly. Um,
what an amazing story! What was it like going from the 7 years? I also have kids. I had kids young, and it's a journey, and it certainly adds so much complexity to your life. But as a woman, that's a real challenge to make that transition and to come back so strong. Boy, you must have a very strong support network too.
I do, that when they say about, you sort of form your group of people that support you, you find your coaches and teachers, like that little group of people that you keep small on purpose so that there's not too many opinions, but also that, will champion you. And that's really how that happened. Was, he connected me, he got me so ready. I was so ready. And he got me connected to the right people, and they were writing letters for me, they were calling, because they believed in me so much. And I will never not talk about that fact, that I did not uh, jump that huge crevice by myself. There were people who extended a hand and said, "You belong here, and let me help you." I would not have made it without their help. So that's how that happened, and it was just meant to be, because I couldn't have made it happen. Right place, right
It's
time, right
right
people.
time. So tell me about being backstage. You've gone through the Adler Fellowship, and then you get a chance to sing one of the biggest roles in opera on the main stage.
So I don't know what it was, if it's a premonition or something, but I treated learning that role as if it were mine. And not that there was any ill will to the person singing, it felt so good. It just fit every crevice of my body. And I would be at the time I was also singing the high priestess in Aida. And since I really didn't have much to do, I spent my time in my dressing room singing, walking the staging um, of Butterfly, the whole opera every time. So I had sung it in my mind, in my head. I had envisioned the opera house, what it would look like, what it would feel like. I would even envision the applause that people really enjoyed it, and that would take some of the stress away. And when the call happened, it literally felt like I was walking through my own dream. I still remember that, you know how people say, "Oh, it felt like I was watching myself do something." And for the first time in my life, I, in the moment, was going, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I am watching myself do this thing, and it's incredible." So just that imagery is so important. Half of the battle in singing is that mental piece of, doubt, or can I do it? And so just having that imagery of seeing myself be successful in it, and that's exactly how it went. So that's something I try to keep in all of my preparation in new roles moving forward. I also, that day, fun fact, they had to train a new child because the other one got sick.
Oh no.
So I had just come off of a full 6-hour long rehearsal on the stage, singing the role to train the new kid. And because I didn't know I was singing that night and there was administration in the house, I was singing full out. I wasn't marking. I wanted them to hear my butterfly,
Absolutely.
which I recommend to all covers, like, sing, let them hear
Don't
your
mark.
work. Do not mark. That's your chance. No matter how many times you've been back to a company, show them I am reliable. I am still, set up in the right spot. Don't assume that they know your voice.
Sage
Sing.
advice for young artists. Sage advice.
Yes. Be prepared and sing. And then I walked off the stage, and there was someone from administration waiting for me, and they said, Ms. Palmertree, you will be singing Butterfly this evening. And I said, okay. What time is my call time? And I remember her looking at her watch, and she said, now?
Oh my God.
'Cause I had to get in costume, and my costumes weren't even finished. They were still sewing them on me. They hadn't hemmed it. They weren't prepared for me. They just at that time, this is pre-COVID, so this was 2017. Um, they told me flat out, they said, "We have not put a cover on like this in we can't even remember. It might be a decade." It was
Wow.
a really long time. And so they hadn't even finished hemming my costumes. Um, there were like six seamstresses just like sewing stuff on me while the conductor's talking to me, and my colleagues are coming, like just people sewing costumes onto me.
What an amazing
Oh,
experience.
yeah.
We had a similar with my friend Thomas Woodman when he went on to Met. He found out that morning he was doing Siegfried. I mean,
Ah,
it was he had no time to he just walked the stage into the dressing room, get your costume, on you go.
yes. And that's what, I really I want everyone, audience members, everyone to understand that as a cover, you have to be as good, if not even better, than the person you are covering. And I don't mean that in a challenging way. I mean that last minute, there's no like, oh, I don't remember the staging, or where do I go, or how do I lift my dress to, you have to just do it and be that good. And so, there's a little bit of a stigma with covers like that. They're not as good. And everyone in the opera house will always say the covers really bring it. They're a talented group of people, and it's a little hard to break through that barrier of getting through, that cover moment. but I just want everyone to understand that there's so much talent in the bowels of an opera house that you will may not ever even see, which is such a shame.
Well, you keep on working. Domingo was covering when he made his big break. I mean, that's how you get the chance, and you have to prove yourself. Every moment, right? That's part of being an artist, is being prepared, being ready, knowing your assignment. I
Yep,
always loved assistant conducting. I think it's part. I love being part of the process as well as conducting. It's always being prepared, always bringing your best to the table.
that's right. Yes, you have to be tenacious about it and not get in your head about it and say, I have to bring my best work every time because that one time that I get the phone call, if I'm not ready, I just missed my chance. So you have to treat every cover, every opportunity, every concert, everything. You never know who's going to be where. And I've done some gigs that paid very little, but the right person was in the audience, and then I got a really big job. And so it's always worthwhile to keep your instrument flexible, learn some new roles, and contribute to the community as well. If you have the time and it doesn't cost you a ton, sing, just sing and perform.
That's sage advice as well. So, what did that do? You finished this performance. It must have been a dream. Like, come off that cloud. What did that do for your career? What did that do for your life?
Well, it literally took me from, because of those 7 years off, I didn't have any kind of pedigree, if you will. I only had an undergrad. I hadn't done any other programs. I hadn't worked with like anybody, super famous or anything like that. So I went from no one knew my name to suddenly the news is all over. And I signed with an agent, and that is a very pivotal part in a career, that you have an agent representing you. And so I started getting some work through other colleagues and also from San Francisco Opera too, as well, that when other companies would call and say, we heard the news about this soprano and we need someone for this, that, or the other. And that recommendation was huge, getting work outside of the Adlership. Um, my son and I lived in San Francisco, and we really wanted to stay, but for financial reasons, in San Francisco, but also like the family element, I really needed help. From my parents, to help watch my son. And I brought him with me as much as I could. But we moved back to the East Coast because we had a support system there. And I I really believe that was the right choice in the end. But we did not want to leave the West Coast. We loved it. We
Mm,
still love going back to
perfect
this.
weather. Perfect weather.
Yes.
So you're going back this season, right? You've got some exciting news of the season's schedule.
Yes, it's not 100% like public news, but I do have a big debut coming up with them and in a future season. So that's all I shall say. But yeah, I enjoy going back there, and they support me, and I'm really excited for a new role under my belt.
That's exciting. And where can people find out more about you? I have your website linked in the description of this video, but give your website address to everyone so we can send them over there and follow your work.
So the only way you'll possibly mess this up is if you, my last name is Tree, not palm tree. Um, you said it correctly. It's just many people, I think, just assume, so it's my name, my full name, www.toni, Toni Marie Palmertree. Um, the name is a Cherokee Indian name,
Hmm.
a English man, Palmer, and a Cherokee Indian woman, married, and they created this new name, which is something that is sort of something that has happened in our American history, like that's sort of a typical thing that these made up names came together. So that's where that name comes from. My mother is Italian, and my dad is Cherokee Indian. I definitely
What
look
an
more
amazing
Italian than,
American story. I love that.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
especially this is the 250th anniversary of our country. That's a good time to bring that up. So
Yeah.
tell us about Puccini is a natural for your voice and the heavy Verdi roles. What's it
Mhm.
like finding your repertoire, and especially that repertoire, which is so important in the opera world, and it's hard to find singers in that rep.
Well, I do credit that those 7 years off, I kind of accidentally missed the young years where, frankly, a singer just needs to get older, and, there's something about age and from the wisdom, but also, hormones and your body changing. A woman's voice does not mature until 40. So it's definitely a long journey for a singer with a big voice, a Puccini voice, a Verdi voice. Um, and sometimes that process ends up becoming rushed because of, feeling like, well, I have to win the Met competition by this age, and then I have to do this by this age. And if I haven't made it by this age, and um, a lot of times, age limits in competitions and even some programs are why some singers end up getting lost in the mix, or perhaps their voice isn't quite ready, and then it kind of goes in the wrong direction. I kind of accidentally missed those years, so I'm grateful to myself that I I did what I did. I didn't know what I was doing, but so I would say that Puccini always felt like it was written for me. But certainly the lower aspect of the voice was not quite there in my younger years. And during COVID, I had some time to figure some stuff out, and I was at the right age. And I had, again, my group of people who didn't want me to quit and taught me for free for that period of time, so that and that's when I figured out chest voice and trying to get into that lower passaggio easier. And so finding those roles just takes a long time. Verdi did not feel good until I sang my first bel canto role, and so really seeing how to keep the voice flexible and light but full really helped me navigate Verdi in a much better way than I ever had. And I still have my teachers and my coaches, and that will never, ever, ever end. And that's why I love this job, because I will never, ever know everything. There's always going to be a language, there's always going to be
Rep,
a
new
role.
role challenges, and then we change roles, right? That's the part of the job that's so important. And same for
Yes,
conductors. I do a percentage of rep I know I've done before. I'm doing a Carmen this year, Rigoletto, but I love to find pieces I've never done. So I always schedule things I've never done to keep myself learning. So it's
bravo.
important for all of us to keep ourselves excited and engaged.
Absolutely. And I applaud you for that, because it's definitely, with our busy schedules, it's easy to fall into, well, this is the stuff that I know. And sometimes that's necessary. But to have something new, at least one thing new a season, definitely it helps my other roles. Frankly, I'm going to be covering Butterfly at the Met coming up again. And Butterfly is a role I've done, a million and one times. Um, but, I'm learning some new stuff, and my voice is different from when I first learned Butterfly. I am older than when I learned Butterfly. And it helped show me, oh, right here in this section, you sing too hard right here, or you are overexerting yourself. You don't need to do that. Um, so it helps you reflect on the things you do know already, and tune it up and make it even better than what it was.
I find the pacing for as a conductor, the pacing gets so much better. Like I've done Butterfly maybe 15 times now in various places, and I do a touring production. So I gotten a chance to really dig in, and it's such a hard show musically, and that the pacing each time you do it, you a little more of the twists and the turns, and I'm sure for the singers the pacing's pivotal in that role.
The pacing is everything. And same with Tosca. I mean, BC Darte comes at the worst moment in the opera, the worst. I'm sorry, Puccini, love you, but what were you thinking? Absolutely not. Poor choice. So singing BC Darte all by itself, fine. you put it in that spot after all of that high singing and being chased around and,
Yeah. Well,
you wanna
stage
give your
shenanigans. Yeah.
oh my gosh, yes, and you wanna give your audience the most authentic performance, but yet if I let myself get too carried away with Scarpia before that moment, I'm finished.
Yeah.
So it's really important with roles to, pace them out and sing them front to back over and over and over so that you know where do I get tired and where am I not doing well. Figure that out in the rehearsal and in your preparation so that when you get to the rehearsal room, you can feel like you can be vulnerable and push yourself right over that line. How far can I go with this? There's two places in Butterfly I've learned that I have to allow myself to cry because trying to hold it in was worse than letting it out.
Hmm.
And they're
Wow.
both moments where you can speak the lines essentially. I mean, it's still on pitch, but um, those are certain places where, I've learned I have to just allow myself to let the tears flow because I'm going to choke myself up otherwise.
Such a
Yeah.
dramatic role. And yeah, as a character, it's heartbreaking watching her just from young girl to like demolished by the end. That's such a hard thing. I find this. I also want that I can't go too far where I get tied up in the story.
Yes, yes, it's a little, especially for parents too, like, that the kid piece is so huge. And so there's singing tutu at the end, I cannot put any part of me in that aria. I cannot.
Mm, mm.
There's so much of the role I can, but that aria I cannot because I'll lose it.
Yeah, I've had this conversation with a couple butterflies, and they say the same thing. It's how they relate to the role. The ones who are parents, really, it's a challenge because you realize how brutal the story is, and how terrible Pinkerton is, really.
Yeah, yeah, and just like the thought of you know in that culture too, like the weight of the decision that she made, that it's really protecting him and then his children and his children's children and his children's children, from having lifetimes of misfortune. And so as a mother, to make that choice to say I will sacrifice myself so that my son and his children and their children can live a blessed life, it's just the greatest gift a parent could ever give. And thankfully, we are not faced with that type of choice today. But I mean, these were real stories and real cultures and very meaningful things that it's important to know about. Plus, women on stage, I think that it's important to show women's stories and the choices that they're forced to make, even if they're not beautiful ones. What women had to do for money if the man in their life was no longer around, whether they died or they got divorced or whatever happened. I think it's very important, especially in modern times, for us to just reflect on the fact that women didn't have many choices in the past. And so opera is a great way to remind ourselves that how far we have come. I think it's
I like
very,
that.
very important.
We hear so much about how the plots can be dated and sexist in some cases, but yeah, we do have to look at it. I always say you can't put today's morality on yesterday's art. They are different times, but you have to understand where it comes from. You have to be able to. That's a really good way of looking at it.
Yes, if you can watch a difficult TV show on Hulu, you can watch an opera about
For
a
sure.
difficult, that's the part that I'm like, no, 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 no. You can't pick and choose which thing is acceptable. Yeah. You can watch
I
it
have
on
a
TV,
question
you
for
can
the
watch it on stage.
audience. Who is your favorite butterfly of all time?
Oh my gosh. Well, I love Tebaldi. I think that Tebaldi is amazing. I certainly listen to Scotto as well. Um, Funny enough is that like I'm not a big fan of, oh my gosh, I'm gonna say this out loud. I'm not a big fan of Maria Callas until I got older, and I appreciate Callas so much more. But I tend to listen to her when I'm learning roles because I'm not trying to imitate her voice, but I always love her choices as an actress and the
Yeah.
pacing of how she delivers those lines. Whereas if I'm listening to a singer I really, really, really love, I'm like, oh, I want to sing it like that, the way that you just sang it. And so then I get myself in trouble. So I kind of have like an opposite where I don't listen to my favorite singer um, a ton because I just don't want to copy them. They're too good.
I think when we first, I know for me, but when I first do something new, yeah, I always do my historical research and I listen to the great recordings and the great conductors I like. But once you really get into the role, it becomes you, and it's like maybe
Yeah.
we like some things they do, but in the end, we can't be those people, so we have to put ourselves into it to a degree for sure.
Exactly. You want my goal is always that it's an authentic performance, that people aren't watching or hearing me figure out how to get to a high note or how to get through the singing part. Is that I want them to feel like I picked them up in the beginning, I ushered them all the way through this journey, and then I set them down at the end, and that their response should just be, what did I even experience? What did I go through? Like that they're not even going to notice, the singing aspects of it because I just want them to be so enveloped by the story and the sound of my voice, of course. It's a huge part. Having the freedom in your voice that all of the overtones can envelop somebody is so important. Because the audience, whether they know opera or not, they know when they hear in inauthentic performance or maybe someone struggling. They know. They just don't know how to put it into words. So it's really important for me to get all of that out of the way so that they can just absorb it and enjoy.
What are some of the roles that you dreaming about? Some roles that are on the docket that you would love to put out there in the world and put out there in the universe?
Well, Norma is on
Mm,
the top of my list. I want to sing more bel canto for sure. I also would love to sing Yanufa. Um, that's a
I
total
wish
left turn from
it sure is.
um, and then there's some, I guess, more standard classic things like I would love to sing Ariadna. I would love to sing Arabella. I would love to sing the four last songs, Strauss. It's not opera, but some of those more classic things. I would love to sing Minnie in Fanciulla. Um, some of those like more on the fringe side, I guess, if you will. I love a challenge. So anything that's sort of like, this is like the hardest role in opera, I'm like, that's what I want. I want to figure that out.
Have you done Turandot?
I have not. I've sung Liu. I apologize. Yes,
Mhm.
I have
Sure.
sung Liu at San Francisco Opera, actually. Um, that role is beautiful, but I do think that there's a lot of other sopranos that frankly sing that maybe better than me. Like I think where I shine is in a um different area, I guess. Like all those pianissimi, I'm better at it now, but um I've heard just so many sopranos where I'm like, oh, they just sing that so well, that I just never feel like I need to insert myself into that role again. But certainly if the opportunity came, it was the right opportunity, I would happily do it. It's a wonderful role as well.
Well, some great rep you've just mentioned, and may that be to the gods of casting that those lock in the seasons to come.
Thank you.
So, what are the next projects on the horizon? What do you have coming up in the next couple months?
The next couple of months are very busy, thankfully. Thank you. I'm a company artist at Opera Delaware, and what that is a new employment model where we are not young artists. We are fully fledged, very professional singers. As you've heard me talk about my career, we are singers that are singing big things. And one of the things that's coming up with Opera Delaware as a company artist is that I will be debuting the role of Maddalena in Andrea Chenier. So that's a big one. That's huge.
That's exciting. Yeah, exciting
Yes,
role.
I'm very excited about that. And that's in May. Um, before that, I have a recital in the Bay Area that I'm putting together. And then in November, I have a Messiah in Ohio. And in
Have you done a lot of
December,
messiahs?
no, this is my first one, believe it or not.
Wow.
Yes, and I think when people hear me sing Puccini, they think, sing with bel canto, they think, oh, you don't have the coloratura, which is so wrong. So, those of,
You just don't get to
uh,
use it as often.
yes, exactly. We sort of get pigeonholed in these, like, well, you're a Puccini singer and that's all you do. And it's like, no. Um, so I'm very excited to do my first Messiah and hopefully many more. And then from December through, I think it's through April, I'm covering Butterfly at the Met. And I have a bunch of smaller performances in between with Opera Delaware. You can check out their website. It's operade.org. And we have some really interesting programming coming up because we as the company artists also were part of programming, including the main stage choices.
Hmm.
Of course, our wonderful general director is guiding us and helping us figure out how to make all of these things happen. Is it possible? Is it something their audiences would want? Of course. But we were very instrumental in choosing the repertoire, which was a wonderful opportunity. So to check out those, check out that website as well. And then in May is when Andrea Chenier is. In June, I have a company debut with Seattle Symphony. I'll be doing a Beethoven 9 there.
Exciting.
And then the rest of the things coming up are have not been announced publicly, so I am not allowed to talk about them, but there's some wonderful things coming after that. I'm so thankful for a full season. There's been some tough years, so just so thankful for a very full and rich season.
And I know I'm based in the New Jersey, New York market, and then you're doing a concert in on October 5th with Light Opera of New Jersey is one of my companies, and we're so excited to have you to help open up our season. And an artist of your caliber is going to be spectacular. So that's October
Yes,
5th, and your voice. I can't wait to hear you in person and to have you to join in front of our
yes,
audience.
I'm so thrilled for that. It's also going to be my first time working with that company and with you in this way, and I'm very, very excited about it. And we have opera in New York and Pennsylvania, and I think that having this company in New Jersey is so important. So I'm absolutely thrilled to come contribute and support and make some music in New Jersey.
It's always exciting to have artists who are working on the big stages when they have the time and the schedules to come and sing for the communities because those community people just love it and they don't necessarily always get artists of your caliber. So we're excited to bring you there and can't wait to that as well. Now, I
Yes,
hear
thank
you
you for the
also do
invite.
podcasts. So tell us about your podcast.
So, out of the pandemic, out of boredom and frustration and all of the above, as everyone might remember, my friend and fellow coach, Ellen Rissinger, and I started a podcast called So Lit, Songlit. We were trying to be cool with the lingo of the kids,
That's pretty cool.
My son, and if it worked for him, I wouldn't even know what that word was. Um, so, a little cheeky there, but the whole purpose of it is that, there's so much great repertoire out there, and we live in a digital age where we can access things that we've never been able to access before. Libraries are now online and, things like that. And we thought, why do we keep going back to the same repertoire? It's wonderful repertoire, of course. But there's also so much more out there, and also we felt that there were certain groups of people that their music just was never seen or championed, like women. And we did a whole season. This current season is all female composers. um,
Oh,
the season prior was all Black composers. The season before that was all LGBTQ composers. And so we really want people to hear, and we compare them to the composers that we consider like the masters of the or the classics, if you will, and say, if you like Mozart, you would like this person, etc. So it's a big passion project, and Ellen and I also have created several recitals of just female composer music, and we've toured them around, and hope to continue to tour them around, because the music is just it's incredible. Some of which it feels like a crime that I didn't know of it before. And I've been using a lot of it in, the recital coming up in the Bay Area. I have about half of it is female composers. I have a few Black composers on there. Like it's really helped me expand my own repertoire, and then to hear the audience say, "I've never heard this before." It was just glorious and amazing, and it's such a great experience for me to see people experience it for the first time. And in the podcast, we record clips of the music. So myself or other guest singers, Troy has been a part of it as well, where we will
Shout
record
out to
parts of
Troy
these
Cook, who's been
pieces.
on the show and terrific baritone and a great person. Well, hope he's doing really well.
Yes. And we record bits of these pieces, and so that people can hear immediately what we're talking about. We say this sounds like Schubert, or this sounds like Mozart, or things like that, that they can hear and say, oh yes, you're right, this is comparable. And we've even found some uh, lost French repertoire that is so much better for beginning French students, than jumping right into this, like the hard uh, Debussy, like a freshman in college. I mean, God, it's so difficult. So to find that repertoire, and it's now published, to be able to have that as a resource as a teacher, and for fellow teachers, that's also our hope, is that educators will find it helpful for their students, and also give them something new to look forward to in their juries and listening to recitals, that they have some new things to listen to.
Well, what a great use of your time, and so I love how creative the creative field is, because during COVID, everyone pivoted in a different direction, and I just love that, and it's so interesting to see how we carry that forward now that we're back to our busy lives and careers.
Yes, it really is. It's a labor of love, and Ellen and I have discussed, whether or not, like, to continue doing it, because it's a lot of work. Especially for her, she actually like plays through every single thing before we
Wow.
actually even get together, um, and it's quite a huge labor of love. But every year, we she'll call me and say, oh, I found this amazing, set of pieces. And, so then we just get, oh, really? And then what else did they do? And la, la, la. And then before we know it, we're locked into another season.
If you love what you do, yeah, it's so exciting to make those discoveries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Tony Marie, it is so excited to sit down with you today, and continued success in all of your work. And thank you so much for being on Music Matters. And I look forward to seeing you on the stage very soon.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor. And I look forward to singing New Jersey October 5th. See you all there.
Well, we'll see you soon. And thank you so much for joining us on Music Matters with Jason Tramm. Please remember to subscribe to us and check out our past episodes. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.